Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are continuing on from our last video. I told you guys we got the parachute mount done and we were going to move on to the drive shaft loop and the rear package tray. So we got a few things from our local speed shop, whatever parts shop, whatever you want to call it, Applied Racing Technology in Clearwater, Florida. We got our piece of chromoly for our drive shaft loop that will go in between the subframe connectors. We got a piece of DOM tubing 1.25 inches for our trailer hitch that we will be making. Buddy lent me a bunch of Clecos. I have my own, but I just didn't have enough. Cleco pliers, obviously. We got some black rivets. We got a rivet spacing fan, or a rivet fan, however you want to call it. These things are pretty cool because you can get equal spacing on all of your rivets, or skip as many as you would like. And we have the car, we have the rear end supported, so the rear end is all the way up. Go ahead and show you guys our loop, and that is a chromoly loop that we got again from Applied Racing, and that loop is going to sit pretty much about here. And I don't want to say we have a problem, but we have let me try to crawl in here, show you guys. We have a little bit of an issue only because on these F bodies, the drive line does like to favor one side. So if you can see on the passenger side, we have a ton of room. Or sorry, driver's side, a lot of room. Passenger side, not a lot of room. So it still will clear at full up and full down. So I did have the car, the rear end drooped, and it was still clearing. So we're set right there, but it's not all the way up. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll get you guys on the tripod that you can see a little bit better. But either way, that's pretty much where it's going to sit. It might sit a little bit farther back around here. And what we're going to do, slide back out, is get a piece of that chromoly and run it from right here in this section all the way across to right here on this subframe connector. So here, I actually got a mock-up piece for you. So sitting like that, and right there, so you can see at full up we have about 3 inches of room from the drive shaft to the lower bar, and even at full droop there's still about 2.5 inches. So at this angle, or at this point of the drive shaft, it does not angle, doesn't articulate a whole bunch down. So we have plenty of clearance there. No need for a little swoop-de-doo in our chromoly piece. But get back over here. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So I think what I'm going to do is, one, get that to fit. So I'm going to take the drive shaft out and kind of massage that area to get that loop to fit. And then what we'll do is start trimming up our chromoly, get that in place, and then start cutting the drive shaft loop down to where it can meet at the cross member piece, but also be all the way up in the tunnels. I also forgot to mention that we got a solid transmission mount. Since that the drive shaft loop is so close to the drive shaft, and we have just a standard poly mount, or not even a poly mount, it's really just a rubber mount. I don't want that to have any deflection in it, so we're going to switch to the solid mount. That way there's zero chance of that drive shaft rubbing the hoop. So that's worst case scenario. I don't want to do that because then it's just going to put a mark in the drive shaft, and then I'll have to get another one. And I don't want to spend another $800 on a drive shaft. So yeah, solid mount, pretty cheap, pretty easy. We'll see if it fits. Hopefully it fits. But yeah, this was like $27 from ICT Billet. So we'll go ahead and slap that in real quick, make sure everything lines up good, how it's supposed to. And then yeah, we'll go ahead and get back into it. All right, so we got our measurement. It's a rough measurement showing about 32 inches. So what I'm gonna do is just do a hair past 32. That way we have a little bit of room to file it down or sand it down, make it flat, whatnot, whatever we have to do. So I'm gonna do that, give it a shot, make a straight line with some tape first. That way I know exactly where I'm cutting. Just straight, so. And I want to use probably another piece. ahead. So we got our first cut. Let's go measure it up, or go fit it up and see how it fits. Okay. So let's see. So we got our old rubber Power Glide mount out. So that thing is no longer needed. Tubing coming in. Okay, so we're probably, oh, we're just a little bit off actually. Nothing crazy, which is good. I don't want to make too many cuts. What if I can go down? See, look, I can actually go down the bars and they fit. So it's a good sign. That means I can actually get a really good tight fit on here. So we're going to trim it down just a little bit more. I'm probably just going to put it on the sander and hit it down a couple times, and we'll just keep going back and forth until we have a nice snug fit. And then I also got to keep in mind that there's powder coating on here, so I need to take the powder coating off. That way I know our fitment is precise and very good. So I'll go ahead and take the powder coating off. We'll grind this down a little bit and get it to fit. Alright, drive shaft inbound. Now this might be a little tricky to actually install this thing again. Maybe not. Actually, probably pretty simple. So let's do this without knocking my bar out. Let's see, come on, here you go. Okay, so the drive shaft's in. So you guys see with the rear end all full droop, we have about 2.5 inches of room. So plenty of room for what we want to do. Now I gotta remember how I got this to fit. Yeah, like that. Okay, so we're not gonna put it there. I just don't know if we're gonna put it way the hell up there like that. If we're gonna do a little bit farther back and do it straight on. I'm not sure yet. I gotta figure that out, but at least we know the drive shaft fits. So this is a 4-inch aluminum drive shaft. So it's not small, but yeah, I gotta massage the floor a little bit. So I don't have a fancy tube coping tool, so tube notcher, so I have to do all this stuff by hand, which kind of sucks. But so far, if you guys can see that, pretty good coping on that so far. I do got to work this side just a hair more, but other than that, it looks pretty good. So yep, just got to work this side down a little bit, and we'll be good to go. So cool. Good stuff. Let's keep going. Alright, you guys, got the drive shaft loop basically complete. So we have our main loop bar, I should say, our main loop, and we got about a finger's width between the drive shaft and the loop itself. But the bar nonetheless is done, and the loop is too. So it's all the way up against the floor. I did have to massage it just a little bit. But interesting enough, let me see if I can do this one hand and show you guys. But when I take the drive shaft, oh, this might hurt. Don't fall on me. Okay, I got it. So, bear with me here. So when the rear end is at full droop, it's about right there is where it sits. And then I'm going to push it in a little bit, clear the yoke. And I have to go all the way up. I mean, look how much travel that is. So it might look like an inch or two of travel up there, but back here, try to invert you guys. There we go. That's a lot of travel, right? And we're still not even touching. Right there right there is where we're touching. So that's how far up it actually has to go. And it'll never go this high up into the car. So we are good for clearance. We have clearance. So we're good. Don't fall on my face. Yeah, so I think it came out pretty good, pretty simple. Very lucky that we have our subframe connectors and that they're flat. That makes it much easier because I don't have to cope these ends, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to go a coping tool because doing that stuff by hand takes forever and it never comes out perfect. So nonetheless, so what we'll do in the morning is tack these up. We will fully weld them and then fully weld it in the car and cross it off the list. So we'll see you guys in the morning. Still pretty warm, so I'm wearing my glove, but pretty decent welds, not too bad. I was running about 55 amps on that, and this is chromoly 58 thou thickness, so it's not the thickest material, but it's also not the thinnest. So I was just trying to do about 1 amp per thickness on the bar, so I got about 55. I think I switched back to 50 toward the end of it, but yeah, pretty decent weld so far. It'll definitely hold. So now what we need to do, well, actually what I'm going to do is prep this for paint. We're going to paint the top of this. Pretty much 90% of this bar. We'll obviously leave the ends clean, and we'll clean these up actually even more. That way we have some good material to weld to for the car, and we'll get it just painted up. That way when it's in the car, I don't have to worry about painting it. And yeah, we're almost there. So go ahead and get a quick coat of paint on here, and then go ahead and weld it into the car. Okay guys, we got the drive shaft loop complete, and unfortunately I was not able to TIG weld the bar itself in. You guys can probably see my MIG welding, which, you know, it'll do the job. It's just not as pretty. Yeah, I was just having way too much trouble trying to TIG weld this stuff, and yeah, it definitely exceeded my TIG welding skills. So drive shaft's back installed. We still have our clearance room. Drive shaft's still at full loop, or the rear end is at full droop, but yep, pretty pleased with how it came out. Just that straight bar and the hoop itself, and we got a drive shaft loop. So now we are compliant with NHRA rules, and the next thing that I do is the package tray. All right guys, drive shaft loop is wrapped up. It's all painted up and it is done, so we can mark that off the list. Next time you'll see the car, we'll be doing the rear package tray. We got to pull the windshield out, we got to pull the fuel tank out, probably the ice box as well, and we got to touch up a few things on the interior side from when I was beating on the floor. But nonetheless, we got the rear package tray, so all of these openings and holes that you see, even behind the windshield, will be closed up. So we'll work on that next. Should be a pretty easy process. It might be a little bit lengthy. I gotta kind of figure out how I want to do it, but nonetheless, we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get compliant and all wrapped up. So this thing will be 100% compliant with NHRA rules with the cage that we have. So like always, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. We will see you in the next episode.